Welcome to Coach Business. I'm your host and coach, Caryn Gillen, and I'm excited to have Mary here today. We get to do some coaching. I know these are my and your, as the listener's, favorite episodes. So, Mary, thank you for being here for this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Will you tell people who it is that you serve?
So I help women like busy working women leave work at work so they can be fully present at home and enjoy more time with their families.
Right on. Awesome. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what should we coach on today?
So I think this is a thing that's kind of underlining like problem that keeps coming up for me is like I just don't feel safe in business yet
Okay.
because I think it's scary for me to rely on other people for my financial well-being. And like because of past experiences, I've like built up these walls and like all my big transformations I've done on my own and haven't really had to rely on anyone else. So
Mm-hmm.
business just feels scary in that way that like, okay, when you transition from corporate to business, it's like, oh, wait, now I have a great time connecting with people and making friends and doing all that. But it seems like haven't been able to translate like regular, consistent clients and income.
Mm-hmm. So, a belief I hear is that when you were in corporate, you weren't relying on anyone else.
Right. Yeah. I know you are, but it just seemed different because like you just show up, do your work, get a paycheck.
Uh huh.
Now it's like I feel like I'm showing up, doing the work, waiting for a more consistent paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It's a big shift. So let's say you were successful in business.
Mhm.
What's different there? Like, what do you think is different, or what are you expecting will be different in regards to this when that's happening?
I feel like I'll be more confident in like what I'm saying and what I'm doing and won't hold back.
Okay.
Because I feel like right now, because I don't feel safe, I just don't do as much as I could or as much as I'd want to, or don't like stick to one thing and do it wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What was this like when you worked for someone else? When you were assigned a job or a project in a job, how did you go after it?
So that was really tricky because it was a union place, which have nothing against unions, but it was more of like learning to like constantly adapt myself to make it work. And
Mm-hmm.
then as I grow and change, it still just didn't end up being the right fit, no matter how much work I did with the work life balance and with everything else. And then I grew enough, and then I realized I wasn't the problem. The environment was the problem, and it just wasn't the right place for me anymore. But it's like I
Okay.
kind of got to this place where I constantly was like, to protect myself and to survive in that environment, you just do what you need to do to get to the next day.
Okay. So it sounds like it didn't feel safe there either,
No.
but there was actual money coming in, which was at least a positive
Right.
in your book. Yeah. So you didn't feel safe, had to do a bunch of conforming that didn't work for you, but you got paid. And then now you're in business for yourself. You don't feel safe. You don't have to conform, but the money's not coming.
Right.
So in each math equation, there's two negatives and a positive,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
Because there's three things that sound important: money, getting to show up how you want to show up, and feeling safe.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. So it used to be you had the money piece. Now you don't have the money piece and you don't have the safety piece. So, and I think that that makes sense because you're going into business for yourself. You already were practiced at not feeling like everything was working right. And so now in your business, not everything's working right, but you also don't have money that creates some comfort for people when everything's not working.
Right. Because it's like I have the lifestyle I want. I get to show up for my family the way I want. I get to have this business and help people. But then it's like now what's missing is the like constant
Mm-hmm.
regular stream of money.
Yeah.
So it's like where I feel like I have the freedom and a life I want and get to show up as I want in most places of life. I feel like it's temporary because if the
Yeah.
money doesn't come, then you have to go back to a job you don't like.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So One thing you said about like if I were at my job, I would be confident in what I was doing and I wouldn't hold back.
Yeah, for my business. I think there's part of me that still thinks I have to conform to make it work.
Uh-huh. But there's also a part of you that you know really well will never do that.
Yes, that is true because I'm like not willing to give up the lifestyle I have now and everything, all the work and growth I've done to get to this point. Like I'm not willing to trade that off.
Yeah. So are you actually unsafe right now?
No.
Okay, so you're safe, but you just don't feel safe.
Right. Well, like financially, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, sooner or later I will have to get another job if this doesn't work out.
Right.
So
But
that
you're
part,
not unsafe.
no.
You have a looming deadline where you won't have enough money to keep the lifestyle you have. You're at risk of losing the lifestyle you have. That's the unsafety.
Yes.
Okay. And what date do you have where that is the thing? Like until when can you keep doing this business thing? Like say no money comes in for the next X number of months. How many months do you have?
I would say 6 months.
Okay, so you have 6 months of banked safety.
Yes.
And that's not safety in general. I think you should be really specific with your brain when you're talking about safety of like, I have 6 months of banked lifestyle. I don't even know what you would call it. Would you call it lifestyle safety, lifestyle?
It almost just feels like I have 6 months of trying to make it work.
Okay. When you say that sentence, I have 6 months of trying to make it work. How does it feel in your body?
Horrible.
Yeah.
That's what
Try.
feels unsafe because it feels like it's not going to happen and
Uh-huh.
that I'm going to have to go back and get a job I don't want to do and give up everything I've worked so hard for. Like it
Yeah.
seems like in my brain, it's still a hard trade off. There's
Uh-huh.
nowhere in between.
Your brain's never like, in 6 months from now, we're going to have this dialed in and have an even better lifestyle.
No, brain does not want to offer that.
Okay. Just checking in. All right. So you're very clear about the time you have, about what it is you want. You're very committed to protecting this lifestyle. Do you think if you were confident and you went all in and didn't hold back on your business, that it would create what you want?
I would hope so because of the fact that like I don't want to give it up so much and I'm so protective of the lifestyle I want. Like other people have got to want that.
Uh huh.
And it would have to mean that much to them too. So why wouldn't you pay to get coached to have the lifestyle you want?
Well, I think you've just answered that question with your coaching today because it's terrifying to get what we want, knowing that it might get taken away. It wouldn't last
Yes.
forever. Right. So
Mhm.
here you are actually living out in the worst of the worst. For for most people, it's better to not have had the good thing than to have had it and lose it in their
Yeah.
minds.
Yeah, I could understand that.
Right. So in some senses, you have more to lose today than you've ever had to lose before.
In my mind, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, which is why it feels big in your mind and then in your body. So if you like, I want to think about times where we've had limited experimentation. Like, did you go to culinary school?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how long did that take?
Like 2 years?
2 years. Okay. So 6 months of culinary school is what we're looking at here. Like, you're actually going back to culinary school to do a 6 month program to get really good at fill in the blank. It's a limited time project. How would you want to go through that experience knowing it ends in 6 months and there's a new life on the other side?
I would just give it my all, do my best, and like I think there'd be a certainty that it's all gonna work out. Like I'm just
Mm-hmm.
here for the 6 months. This is the time we got. I'm gonna do I always know I give 120%. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have a certainty there.
yes.
How come?
Maybe part of it's because I know I can do it and have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it now I know, I think with business, what makes it tricky is that I also understand that by thinking I'm going to have to get another job in 6 months, that means that other money, like money won't come in before then, which is a silly
Mm-hmm.
thought.
Right. As if you've already made every dime you'll make between now and 6 months from now, which is not true.
Right. Right.
Mhm. But what if you had the power to set up a 6 month curriculum for yourself, a 6 month outcome goal, a 6 month learning experience that you know you're a person who goes 110% on, and you let yourself use everything that you're already really good at to do something you've never done before?
Yeah.
What would it look like? What might you set up as an experiment?
Well, I like a lot of stuff we've been learning and doing in the group, in the membership, because like one, now I want to, like, I think I'm at the point where I'm feeling safer and safer to trust myself and be like, this is the one thing I want to do. And I'm super passionate about it. And like, this is what I want to talk about. And I'm not afraid of excluding the people who aren't that.
Yeah,
So
which is
that's
big.
step one. Yeah. And then I like this little bite size offer. So I like having something that's more manageable for someone to try out. And I
Mm-hmm.
like the idea that you get to throw it out there and like you serve, learn, tweak it, and keep making it better and better and better for your clients so they can get the most impact.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you could sell 20 bite-sized offers in the next 6 months?
That seems overwhelming, but I think it's way more doable than trying to sell like a very large coaching package because that's just a lot for my brain to jump from.
Mm-hmm.
Like
What
to
about
jump
12?
from
Could
12.
you sell 12
Yeah.
of them?
Yeah, that sounds doable.
All right. What if we did a challenge where, like, there's some sort of agreement in here inside of your brain and a commitment that you haven't made yet? Because if you had, this wouldn't be the coaching call we'd be having.
Okay.
Like, because you know what it feels like to sign up for a 6 month curriculum or a 2 year curriculum and go all in 110% and make it happen without question. But we're not there yet on your business. So I'm curious about you setting something up for yourself where you're like, this is what I am committing to. I will get it done because that's who I am and that's how I show up for myself. Because I think the other side of the coin that we're not talking about is what happens if we get to 6 months from now and you never made it to 110% and you gave it 60% the whole time? Like, how does it feel to be going and looking for work if you feel like I never even really gave this a shot? I never even got to show up for myself how I know I could.
That feels horrible.
That feels so uncomfortable to me.
Yeah. And I've said that to my husband. I'm like, I don't want to like be at the end of this where I have to get a job and feel like I didn't give it my all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a part of me that's super afraid of like, okay, what if I do give it my all and it still doesn't work?
Answer the question. What if you give it your all and it still doesn't work? Then what happens?
I know I'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I've done enough work to be okay. And then part of me wants to believe then this just wasn't meant for me. However, that feels horrible too. So I think I'm not giving myself any gray area. Like, even if I
Yeah.
did have to go get another job, it doesn't mean I have to do it forever. It may just be temporarily or part time until I can continue to build the business.
Yeah.
But I would prefer not to do any of that altogether. I know I have this great skill to offer. I know it can make such a difference. And I know if I help women to like be able to leave work at work to show up at home, the beauty of that to me is a generational change, how they can show up for their children and then do it better for the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
And we create that growth. And it's just the changes I've seen are so amazing in my life and how I can show up for everyone and myself that it's just like, how do we not do this?
Yeah. How do we not do this? That's a much more powerful question than any of the other ones you've probably been asking yourself. I also just saw you make a really cool shift from thinking and worrying about yourself to thinking and worrying about other people. And it seems like maybe you're someone who is called into the work from service versus from personal gain.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Because if it was only about money or anything like that, I would have stayed at the other job and been miserable. But I don't
All
want
right.
that.
Good
Like,
to know.
I'm doing this because I want to help other people. I can't imagine my life without coaching and all the changes I've had. So, like, there's just, it's all about that. Like, I didn't, like, when I first got into coaching, I didn't realize people got in it for any other reason. Then I've had this huge thing and I want to help other people.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. People get into it for all sorts of reasons. But your reason is you have very specific ways that you have changed your life that have been hugely impactful for you, and you want to help other people do it.
Yes.
Yeah. So 6 months from now, if we were chatting and you had helped 17 women in any way, some way or another, in the last 6 months, how would that feel for you?
Good.
Good.
Mhm.
That would work. Okay. How about if you had helped 9? How would that be?
That's good too. I like going deep with people, so I don't need like crazy numbers
Uh
of
huh.
people. Like
Okay.
that's not my goal. Nothing like that. But it still comes at the like there's still that little thought in the back of my mind, but I can't keep doing it if it's not generating enough income to support the lifestyle.
Right. Okay. So the number's not important. The money's not necessarily as important, but there is a certain amount you need to bring in to keep going past 6 months.
Right. And I like just if I can keep my lifestyle. I don't need to do
Mm-hmm.
anything crazy. I don't need any crazy dollar amounts. I'm good with starting and growing. Um, but it's just like I kind of want to help people have the life they want so I can keep the life I want.
I mean, it's fantastic. It's a good trade.
I think so.
Yeah. So there's something that we have to do, and we're like, us as individuals are the only ones who can do it. And that is decide to draw the line in the sand and commit to what we're doing and not negotiate with ourselves about our choice. And I think you're at that point. Like, it's one thing to be like, okay, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to replace, this level of income so I can keep this lifestyle, and I'm going to do that, but only if I can do it. Like, there's the negotiation that comes in. You have to be the person who does not allow yourself to negotiate about it. And that's just, this is a practice. Like, I'm sure with the weight loss goals that you have achieved, there was a lot of things you learned how to not negotiate about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, sure, cupcakes look great, but we're actually eating a meal right now. Like, whatever it is, you have the skills inside of you already to draw this line. So, like, what do you need in order to draw it really firmly and not f around with yourself on this anymore?
I think it's one, just telling myself this is just what we do.
Uh-huh.
And two, throwing out the timeline and the even thought of getting a job.
Right, because it's not really a concern of yours right now. That's your future self's problem. If she has to solve it, she will. But you right here today, you have everything you need to help people.
Yes.
You know what you want to sell, how you want to sell it. You are compelled to do the work. You're here to serve.
Yeah. And I think it's a bigger reason than me. Like I think this gift
Yeah,
of coaching was giving to me so I can make an impact in the world and help people.
great. So, are you willing to commit to stop cutting yourself off at the knees?
Yes.
And what is the commitment that you want to make with yourself? And I'm happy to help you form it if it doesn't feel clear yet.
I think it's just committing to like what I'm truly passionate about and
Mhm.
fully believing that other people want that same thing. And I don't have to conform at all. I just get to talk about what I want and truly show up in this way.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what you want helps people.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah. So your homework is to go figure out exactly what you're committing to, get it down to one sentence that contains no negatives. It
Okay.
doesn't say I don't conform. It says I do this my way, right?
Hmm.
And then I want you to share that sentence with us in the Comfortable in Business Facebook group.
Will do.
Okay. And the thing like that I just want to highlight for all of us here is that there's no amount of like coaching we can get or tools we can learn or that kind of stuff that does the work for us of deciding to commit and continuing to decide to commit. And I think of these as just lines in the sand where there's a day where I decided and I never, ever, ever mess with that decision. I protect it, I hold it up, I don't negotiate with it. and I let it live. And that's like it's a skill. And it's a
Yeah.
skill I know you already have in other areas. So I know you can do it here too.
And a lot of other areas.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Ready.
You do not mess around with your decision and your commitment once you make it. And that's like for 6 months.
Yeah. And I think my sentence is I do this for the women who need me. And that includes myself.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
So it's a win win everywhere. And then generational change, which is even more beautiful.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. This work has legs and you don't hold back.
No, no more.
Right. You're all in 110%. You do this, you're doing it. It's happening. So I don't know if you need to like do some journaling, have a little ceremony with yourself, burn stuff, like whatever you need to do to make this like this happened. And now I am on the other side living the new reality where I no longer question my commitment to myself. Like whatever you need to do it.
Okay.
All right. Does that feel complete?
That feels complete.
Okay, good. Thank you for being here and for sharing this with us because this is really, it's very real and it's very relatable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, for being here and sharing that. It's important for us to remember things like this. Things like if it were easy to start a business and have it be successful right away, everyone would just do it, right? But it's not. It's like there's work to put in. We have to learn who we are as a business owner. We have to learn how we want our business to work. We have to learn what the options are to be in business. We have to learn how we show up really well, how we show up in a magnetic way, how to sustain and how we show up. There's a lot to this. That's why I offer people help and comfortable in business, which is where Mary is, and we're going to keep working on this issue with her. If you want coaching like this, it is time for you to join us inside of Comfortable in Business, where I can actually be your coach a couple times a month, and we can have workshops and you can have all the curriculum to help you get to 5K consistent and sustainable months. That's what I help coaches do so that we can keep working with people to make the change that they want to make while we create the businesses that really support and serve us and our families and our lives and our communities. That's the point, y'all. All right, share this episode with a friend and make sure you leave a rating. I would love that. That'd be really fun to read. All right, have a good day.